Well, welcome. Welcome to the new Ripon Medical Center. So where we're standing right now is what we'll call the atrium. When this is complete, right about here will be a revolving glass door. And so this will be a vestibule. You'll see on either side there's places for wheelchairs, and there'll be some benches and things out here for waiting as well, so people that need to wait for transportation. So then you walk into the front entrance of Ripon Medical Center. To our right is the operating room, day surgery and inpatient surgery. And to the left is our rehab and podiatry offices and orthopedics. And the reason we put those services right off the main entrance is because a lot of those patients who come in have mobility challenges. And so we wanted to make sure that from the parking lot till the time they're able to get into podiatry, orthopedics, or rehab, it's a very short distance. We also wanted to make it easy for our OR patients that come in. About 70% of our surgeries are outpatient, and so they're in and out that same day. And so we wanted to make it very convenient for them to come in and out as well. So I'll take you down there in a little bit and show you what an OR looks like so you can see one of our ORs. But we have a fireplace to the left. We'll have some seating in front of the fireplace. And we'll have a greeter station on this side here. So we'll have volunteers and our registration associates being able to greet patients as they enter the door. I'm excited about some new technology that we'll be using in the new facility. It's wayfinding technology. There'll be a kiosk, an interactive kiosk that will be located here. So in the evenings or on weekends, or if someone needs to step away from the greeter station and patients and families need to come through the front door, they'll have a way to interact and figure out where they need to go. And so it'll be a kiosk, and say they need to go to lab, they'll be able to touch screen, I want to go to lab. There'll be a printout that shows them how to get to lab, and they'll be able to take that with them and go to the lab. There'll also be a telephone on the desk that connects to our emergency room that they can pick up and talk to a person if there's not a person here. And so we were excited about that in the fact that we wanted to make this a welcoming place and have it very easy for people to find their way around. And so I was excited to add that piece of technology into
Is this the first part that's moving in, you said?
I'm sorry?
Is this the first part that moves in December?
In December,
area here?
Our first area that will move in will be Friday afternoon, and that will be our clinics. And I'll show you the clinics when we get there. Because they can close down at noon and move their stuff, have the whole weekend to get settled. We have a 10-day actual plan for more of our 24-hour services, so such as ER, inpatient, OR, to really look at how do we ramp down a little bit on elective things before we move so that we don't have this huge census of patients while we're trying to move our facility. And then how do we ramp them back up the 5 days after we move. And so on Friday, some of our outpatient stuff that we can not schedule, so your clinics, your rehab, those sort of things will move on Friday. And then the 24-hour things that you can't just close down will move on Saturday. And so OR, inpatient, ED, imaging, lab, those things will all move together in a very short time frame. Very short time frame, like 4-hour time frame. And so it'll be bang, 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 bang to get them over here and operational. Because there's not an ability to run 2 hospitals at once, right? Because you confuse people on where to go, especially your emergency services. And so we have to decommission that helipad and that ED and be able to instantly open up this helipad and ED over here. And so we're working on those plans and that coordination as we speak. So yeah, it's pretty neat stuff. So this is what we're calling our atrium. As you enter the main entrance, registration, a seating area over here in front of the fireplace, and then I'll take you back into the podiatry, orthopedics, and rehab area, and we'll go down to the wellness center and kind of circle around. Okay? So where you see these windows, there's going to be glass, obviously. And we felt it was really important. You can see there's a lot of light, outdoor light. And as that front entrance becomes complete, that will be glass as well. And so what we wanted as you enter the medical facility, natural light is considered very healing for people. And so we wanted to make sure that we received a lot of natural light. And as we go into what we call our Journeys Commons area, you can see this whole area here will be full of natural light, borrowed light, direct light, and so on. So on your right is the rehab waiting area, so the physical therapy, occupational therapy, cardiac rehab, and on this side is orthopedics and podiatry. And we will have one main check-in or reception area, greeter area for patients that come here for those services. I'll take you down the hallway because we do have a lot of the finishes done, carpet, and we've got some cabinetry in, so you can actually see what the rooms are going to look like. So this first, what we call pod, is podiatry, and so we'll have a physician office and 3 exam rooms. This is an example of a physician office. We typically do windows in their offices. And then this is an example of an exam room. So you can see the flooring, the cabinetry, the ceiling, all the lighting is in, and you can get an idea of what our exam rooms will look like. About your way hand. Sorry.
Is the math room still down in the basement?
It's not. We were able to take that out because we actually, once we constructed our inpatient rooms here, we had nurses and other associates come through and work in this room as a model.
Oh,
and we actually
okay.
made some changes before they
Really?
did the final
Cool.
detail.
That was the whole idea, right?
Okay. And then down this hallway is orthopedics. It essentially looks the same as podiatry will look, the exam rooms, the offices, etc. We'll cut through this way and go over to the rehab department. And this area is a lot of just the back of house clerical work. There'll be some nursing area over there. This is the main hallway as patients come for rehab services. So on either side, you will see the treatment rooms that the therapists will use to see patients. Here's one of the lights that you can see a little better. So this is a therapy treatment room. They're a little different than the exam rooms. Set up a little bit different, but you can see what they'll look like there. Gym. So this is where people will come for their rehabilitative services. So whether it's stretching, weights, usually they see a therapist in a private room first and then they come out and they actually work on their therapy out in the rehab gym. And so you'll see we've used some cork flooring, which is conducive to a lot of the equipment that we use, a lot of the weight equipment, and those sort of things that we use in this area. Back in the corner will be our cardiac rehab area. And so that's what that taller desk is for. Our cardiac rehab exercise physiologists work out of that area and do cardiac rehab. There's more treatment rooms on that side of the gym as well. There's more. I'll talk about this hallway in here because it's a little loud out there with the fan. This hallway will double as not only a walkway from the wellness center to the main hospital, but there'll also be some special flooring in here that we can use for our sports individuals. So they do some endurance training and sprinting. So there'll actually be a running strip per se in this hallway as well, for our sports medicine associates to work with athletes as well. This is the Wellness Center. So this was the $2 million project that was funded by the Foundation for Ripon Medical Center. Absolutely beautiful space. This will be a 24/7 facility that's open to the communities that we serve. It'll be a membership, similar to what we do today at our current facility. The entrance will be a 24/7 entrance that they'll get with an access card. There'll be weights and cardio equipment on the lower level here. The upper level will be somewhat of a social area with a coffee or smoothie bar up here, some seating area. The locker rooms are in here. And down below you'll see a classroom. That classroom will have a wood floor, and we'll be able to use that as a multi-purpose exercise room, class exercise room. So it could be for spinning, it could be for yoga, Pilates, Zumba, all different classes. And we're working right now with internal and external individuals to do classes and other things once we open here. So feel free to walk down and take pictures of it goes back fairly far. It's a large classroom. You'll see, we can't really see right now, but once this dirt pile is down, we'll have a beautiful view of the pond. There is a walking path. You can see it very clearly out here. This walking path goes all the way around the hospital. And so we wanted to make sure that if people wanted to go outdoors as well and complete some of their fitness, that they had an ability to do that as well. So you'll see they can exit right through these doors and go outside.
Will that be accomplished before the snow falls this year, or is that something that will be done in the spring?
The sidewalk?
Yeah.
It's in.
Oh,
This will be done, yes, this will be done before winter. Yeah, by the time we open, they'll have everything final graded, seed planted. A lot of our landscaping will be in. So they'll be working on that in the next couple months.
Katherine, can you run, Tom's asking a total price tag for the new facility? What are our final numbers for cost?
For the whole facility, about $44 million.
44.
Yes. Okay, so we'll head back to the main hospital area. Any questions about the Wellness Center or anything that we've covered so far? Okay.
Pretty cool.
It's beautiful. We are very, very fortunate. Information on our Know and Go activities, which are all of our wellness activities that we offer the community. And so this will be a space where they can do that. On the corner behind you is our gift shop. Our gift shop is operated by our volunteers. We have over 200 volunteers that serve Ripon Medical Center, and this is their space on the corner here. So again, this space will have dining. our servery. So that's where you go and you can get your lunch or your breakfast in this area.
That's
right. Yeah, that's where you're coming at your food. It'll be kind of a perimeter of coolers and the servery for our food. And that's the back of Pulse Kitchen if you're interested in any photos back there, but that's where all the kitchen work will be done. Wanted to take advantage of the beautiful views and the natural light that we have, and so we made taller windows in this area to be able to borrow that light. There'll be an outdoor patio as well, so if family members or even our own associates want to go outside for lunch or breakfast, that they can use that patio to do so. On the wall over on this side, I mentioned our volunteer group of over 200 individuals who run our gift shop. They've also made a generous donation of $22,000 to fund a large water feature and stone wall on this wall here. So it'll be a beautiful, fully,
who did that?
our volunteers.
Oh, okay.
They often have fundraisers, so whether it's Broad Fries, they sell scrubs, they do the Nut Man, they have several fundraisers throughout the year, and all of their dollars come back to Ripon Medical Center, besides a portion of it that they fund a scholarship for. So they have donated $22,000 to, it is amazing. They're an amazing group of individuals, so not only do they come and volunteer their time, they do, yeah. So this is looking back at the main entrance again. We just did a circle through. This is the main stairway and the main elevator for visitors and patients. And so we thought it was important from our main stairway perspective to have it open. There'll be glass borders on the stairway. We wanted to borrow the natural light up to the second level. And so this is our main stairway and then our main visitor elevator. As you come down the hallway, these are our conference rooms. This conference room has the ability to be one large conference room or be split up into 3 smaller conference rooms. We thought it was important to have it close to the front entrance because we do have a lot of groups from the outside that use our space, such as the Women and Infant Program through the county. We have Alzheimer's support groups. We have many individuals that use our meeting spaces, and so we wanted to make it convenient for them to utilize them. Offices for our volunteer coordinator, and then on this side of it is the lab, and we'll walk back into the lab so you can see that space. This is the main check-in for lab and imaging. So anybody coming for lab services or diagnostic imaging, X-ray, MRI, CT, this is where they will come. It will be a shared waiting area. Lab patients will go back this way as they're called back, and imaging patients will go back on the other side. And so we also wanted to make this very convenient, either to the front entrance or the ED. So we put it central in the building so that it would have access from both areas, because it is used by both areas very similar from a volume perspective. First, I'll go back into the lab and you can see where they have their processing area. So this is where all of the lab operations will take place. If you've been to our current facility and seen our lab, it is about not even a quarter of the size of this room. And so this allows us to really expand and be able to provide adequate space for our processing equipment. It's been challenging in the space that we've had to fit everything in there and make it functional for our associates and efficient, and so this has really provided a great environment to be able to do that. And so there'll be a drawing area for patients, but a lot of this will be what we consider backup house for our lab associates. You can go back out this way and I'll take you through imaging, okay? Diagnostic imaging department. You'll see some locker rooms here. Oftentimes when individuals come in for mammograms or ultrasounds or other testing, they need to change into clothes and gowns, and so we wanted a private space for them to do that. We'll walk down the hall. In this area will be things like our cardiac stress testing, our nuclear medicine, echocardiograms, ultrasound. They will happen down in this pod. This is the main work area for our radiology technicians. So this will be their work area. Large rooms are where our MRI and our CT will be housed. And so we have a CAT scan that will go in the corner and an MRI that will go in this room. Now, full-time MRI will be new in this facility. We currently contract with a trailer that comes a couple days a week. And so we are now able to have a full-time MRI 24/7 in our building, which is a great win for us. And then we will be moving our current CAT scan, which is a newer piece of equipment, over to here as well.
People are going to get sick just to want to come in here.
Hopefully we keep them well. But
Yes.
that's our goal. Everybody? We're going to go back around down the back hallway, and I'm going to take you over to the emergency room, show you the ambulance bay and the emergency room. We did plan for what we call a mobile pad. This mobile pad allows us to not only look to the future for technology that comes up from a diagnostic imaging perspective to be able to accommodate that as new technology comes about, but also during the move there are pieces of equipment that we will have to decommission at one site and bring up at another site. So for example, at our old facility, we'll have to bring our CT scan and put it in the room I showed you a week before we move. And so at our old facility, we will have a mobile CAT scan. That will be where our MRI trailer typically is today. We've added that here in case there's ever downtime. If we ever had an issue with our CAT scan or our MRI, we have an ability to pull a trailer up and still provide that service if we need to. while we're fixing equipment or while we're changing out equipment. And so we wanted to make sure to have what we call a mobile pad to be able to bring more technology up to the building when needed. There's other equipment like PET scans. Have you heard of PET scans? They're specific to finding cancerous cells. And so this gives us the ability as we grow to be able to pull up a trailer with a PET scan. And so there's other technologies out there that we're not offering today or that aren't even created yet, right? Because it changes so much that we'll be able to facilitate through this pad. One thing that was amazing to me as I saw the building progress was when I looked up in the ceiling. And if you just look at the number of wires for the technology that we use, phones, computers, all of those pieces, and the number of wires that we have to run through this building and the miles of wires that we have to make everything connect just amazed me. And this isn't complete yet. We still have a lot of IT things to put through yet. So this is the back end of our emergency room. This is our ambulance garage. It will be a drive-through ambulance garage, currently like the one we have today. However, it is much larger, as you can see. We were talking yesterday about in our current facility how one of our nurses had to go around the ambulance in the ambulance garage to get to the other side, and she could barely fit through, and she's a very small nurse. And so we were excited and talking about this, where really you could probably pull 2 ambulances in here if you needed to. It is considered only a 1 bay, but we could most likely pull 2 in if we needed to. But you can see we can definitely get around the ambulance as needed. Our ambulance crew will have enough space to do what they need to do. We will continue our drive-through phlebotomy services. I don't know if you're familiar with what that is, but we have a service where patients can actually drive into our ambulance bay and we will draw their blood right in their car. So those elderly patients where it's really hard for them to get out, or if you're in a hurry, I got to get to work, or I don't have time, or the weather is bad, or whatever it might be, patients can pull into the ambulance bay. A phlebotomist will go to their car and draw their blood and move on. So
Nice service.
Drive-through.
Drive-through.
Yeah. Everything you can drive.
And this comes into our emergency department. So we have a space for EMT and police. Oftentimes they bring patients in, and so we wanted to make a special place for them. We consider them our customers as well. And so that is their own individual space. And then along this wall, we have all of our treatment rooms. There are 5 treatment rooms. And this is the main nursing area here with our 2 trauma rooms on either side. All of these rooms will have glass doors for privacy, but allow the nurses to be able to see in the patient room. And then these doors will have glass doors as well. Those are considered our trauma rooms. So you can see how easily accessible it is from the ambulance bay and helipad. We will have a helipad that's directly diagonal out from the ambulance bay. And so it won't be in our parking lot anymore. It'll be in the back corner of the lot, which will be nice. We'll have a path that goes directly to our ambulance bay and into the hospital. This is the lobby area for the emergency room, and so there'll be a lobby here where families and patients can wait. There's restrooms back in the corner. This will be the check-in. This is also our 24-hour monitoring. There'll be a huge control panel behind the desk here in the emergency room where our registration associate can really operate any security or alarm system from this desk. And if the entrance here at the ED will also be our 24-hour entrance, and it will be locked. However, there'll be a phone out there that they can speak to the emergency room associate so that he or she can let them in, whether it's a patient visitor that wants to go up to the floor or needs to get into the rest of the hospital for some reason. The registration associate can allow to do that. So this is really considered our 24-hour entrance on this side of the building. Similar to the front entrance, there will be a glass sliding door here, to keep the heat out and the cold out. There'll be some vending around the corner. Again, this will be our 24-hour entrance. Right across from the emergency room, we designed what we call a meditation room. It was important as we designed the hospital to provide a healing space for people, or a meditative space, or a chapel, or whatever you want to call it. We prefer to call it a meditation room because people may use it for other things besides their spirituality. And so we wanted to provide a space for individuals to go, relax, focus, and reflect. And so that is this space which I'll take you in. It'll be a beautiful space. On the outside, we are planning a healing garden so that it'll be an extension of the room into a garden with a labyrinth and where people can go to sit and reflect as well. So I'll take you in this room. On one end of the room, we'll have a beautiful stone wall feature. Behind you, we are, as a future project, we'll be putting another water feature in the building, and that will go on this wall here. And so there'll be some conducive furniture to meditating and relaxation, or family. Families want to come in here if they're grieving. It'll be a space for people to have some solitude. The reason we put it across from the emergency room, anybody in the building can use it, anybody from the community can use it. That's really what we hope to see. From an adjacency perspective, we did put it across from the emergency room just because oftentimes traumatic things happen in the emergency room, and we wanted a space very near there that families could come and have some meditative space when needed. So you'll see a door that goes to the outside. As I mentioned, we are planning a healing garden. We have already raised through our foundation about $30,000 towards that healing garden, and we'll be doing some additional fundraising opportunities for the healing garden. But it'll take up this corner outside, and so we wanted it to really be an extension of this space. We will keep these windows such that you can view it very easily, so it feels a part of the room. And you can see in the ceiling as well, we really went with a circular motion and design in the room so that you feel like it's wrapping around you as comfort. So we were very specific in how we designed certain spaces of the hospital so that it creates a healing environment, a supportive environment. Into our OR. This whole space is our operating room and post-anesthesia care unit. So anyone that comes for surgery will be in this area. This is a back hallway. I was excited about this space because many times ORs have no natural light. They have zero natural light. And surgeons can spend all day long in an OR and never see the light of day. And so this allows them a space, although it's not directly in the OR, it is directly adjacent for them to come out, whether they want to take a phone call or they want to sit out here for a little bit. It allows them a space to actually get some natural light. Oftentimes ORs are in the basement or up on the 5th floor or wherever it might be, and so this was, our surgeons were ecstatic about natural light. We'll go down this way and I'll show you a couple of our OR spaces. We will have 3 operating rooms and 1 procedure room. This is the largest of our 3. We call it our orthopedic operating room. A lot of times with the equipment that's needed for orthopedic surgeries, you need a larger space. So this room in itself is about 600 square feet. And you'll see from the ceiling that we'll have many things hanging from the ceiling. What we call, we'll have equipment called booms, and those booms will have a lot of your medical air gases. And what it does is it creates a cordless floor. And so that people aren't tripping over cords and trying to move equipment on the floor. A lot of it will be hanging from the ceiling and brought down to the patient, down to the surgeon. On the outsides of the ORs, you'll see the scrub area. So this is where physicians and nurses scrub before they go into. Here is the second OR. So you can see it's a little bit smaller. They're about 400 square feet, a normal OR. That's what this is in the next room. As the procedure room. And so things like colonoscopies, endoscopies, those sort of quick procedures will be done in this room, and we won't have to take up an OR to do those, where today we currently do. I want to take you into our sterile core. Try to find it. Along the outside walls are all of our office spaces, so for the director and the anesthesiologist and physicians, they have some offices along the outside. There we go. This is the space that we call our sterile core. So not many operating areas are able to have a space like this, but what this does is it allows surgeons and nurses and surgery techs to be able to come out of their OR and come to a sterile place to get supplies, to get the things that they need, and not have to re-scrub before they go back into the OR. It's an efficiency thing, it's an infection control, and so you can see you can access all the ORs from this space, so they can be coming in and out of those ORs, and this space is considered sterile. Everything that's in it is sterile. And so typically they have, when they leave an OR, the minute they leave an OR, you have to go get something. They have to re-scrub to get back in. And in this space, they don't have to do that. So we're excited to be able to accommodate what's in healthcare called the sterile core within the operating room space. I'll take you into the same-day surgery or post-anesthesia care. So when people come out of surgery, this is where they'll recover from surgery, recover from anesthesia. People also come here before surgery to be prepped. And so another language for it is a pre- and post-op area. So people come into their bay, they go to surgery, and they come back to their bay. This is the main nurses area in the surgery area. So you can see all of the bays that line the nurses area. So people will come here before surgery and then after surgery to recover. Most of them go home. The ones that don't go home, we have an elevator that goes directly from the OR up to the inpatient unit that is just for patients. And this is the surgery lobby. So this is where patients will present when they come for their surgery, if they're an outpatient surgery. So So that's completed the first floor so far. Do you have any questions before we go up to the second floor? A lot of information. We're going to go just around the corner and take the stairway up to the second floor. These are some administrative offices. There'll also be a glass wall. If you look at the architecture along the top of the ceiling, there'll be a glass wall that follows that curve. And so there'll be glass here on this wall to borrow some natural light to get into what we call the lobby for the second floor clinic. All of this space, and I'll take you back there, is the second floor clinic. We have a conference room to the left. You can poke your head in here. This is our inpatient pharmacy. Again, just the space that we're able to obtain in our new hospital. This is probably 6 to 7 times the space of our current inpatient pharmacy. So it has really allowed for us to just be more effective and efficient in the way we operate. It's a great space. We also have, and I'll show you a few different stations, a pneumatic tube system. And so there's a tube system that goes in the pharmacy, in medical oncology, in the inpatient, in the emergency room. So several areas of the building where it's a tube, like you see at the bank, right? You get your tube, put your money in it. It's a tube like that, and you can send medication, lab work, blood, those sort of things, all the way around the building to different areas of the building so people don't have to run it around. And so if I'm on the floor and I need to draw some blood, I can put it in that tube and send it down to lab. If I'm in the pharmacy and I need to send them a medication down to the emergency room, I can send it through the tube down to the emergency room and I don't have to run down there. So just the efficiency that creates for us is amazing. This will be the main stairwell that you saw from the lower level. And then the main patient elevator. And this comes into our second floor lobby for the clinic. So you saw orthopedics and podiatry are on the first floor. Pretty much every other specialty or primary care is on the second floor. So family medicine, internal medicine, pediatrics, OBGYN, cardiology, general surgery, medical oncology, all of the different services that we're able to offer will be in this second floor clinic. This will be the main check-in area for patients. So it's similar to downstairs. So this whole area here are all offices, procedure rooms, physician offices, storage, clinic storage areas for the clinic. So you can see how large the space is to accommodate all of the physicians that we have coming here. So this is an example of an exam room that's similar to the one you saw downstairs. And on the corner down there is a physician office very similar to the one you saw downstairs as well. Some of the rooms are a little bit larger, and those are what we call our procedure rooms. And so this is an example of a procedure room, where it's a little bit larger than an exam room. These work areas in here will be for the nursing staff.
That's 10 Comfort World Energy Star rated white double hung windows professionally installed for just $29.65. These windows come with a lifetime labor, material, and glass breakage warranty. Our new doors all include triple pane performance and a dual pane window.
This is our medical oncology space. So patients who come for chemotherapy come to this area. Dr. Michael Jones, who's our medical oncologist, provides those services. We'll provide them out of this space. So you can see all the open bays. There's a couple private rooms. Sometimes individuals who are coming for chemotherapy like to either be in a private space or in a hospital bed because of their condition. And so we have two spaces to be able to accommodate that, so that they don't want to be in a reclining chair. They can lay down in a bed as well. And we have those spaces here. You can see this square or rectangle piece in the wall here. That's where the pneumatic tube system goes. So you can see it's very easily accessible. It'll have a little cartridge that you stick in there and can be sent all over the building. Watch your step here, there's some cords. So different than oncology, this is our infusion space. So we have a 7-day-a-week infusion clinic and anticoagulation clinic. Patients will come for sometimes up to 4 hours for specific infusions, like antibiotics, sometimes some of the anti-inflammatory medications for Crohn's and other diseases. They'll need daily or every other day infusions, and so this is a space where they'll come to do that. Again, they'll have private bays with recliners, and there are a couple rooms as well that will have a bed, a patient bed. Depending on the patient's condition, we'll be able to put them in there as well. So they have their own waiting area. Nurse's station will be under this curve, and then they'll be able to monitor all of their patients in their private bays. Of the public rest areas, there's a family consult room, and then we will enter the inpatient unit. So the elevator that I mentioned before that goes from surgery to the inpatient just for patients, that's that elevator behind you. And so that's meant just for any inpatient. Whether it's an OB, a mom needing a C-section, or an ICU patient, or a medical surgical patient, first go into our OB area. So this is our women and infants unit. You can see behind you that there is a door, and on this side of the unit there's a door. And we do that very specifically for infant security. And so these doors are constantly locked. The babies are alarmed. The moms are alarmed. And so nobody can get the baby in and out without us knowing about it. It's a very specific security system. This is the main nurses area for our women and infants. Our nursery is back in the corner. And you might ask, why are there no windows in our nursery? And it's because in today's day and age, they don't spend any time in there. They're with mom in the room. And so only time they come into the nursery is for maybe an assessment or right after they're delivered to administer medications or something if needed. Other than that, they spend a majority of their time in the room with their family. So there's a nursery. There's what we call a triage room. Oftentimes moms will come in before they deliver and need to be monitored for a short amount of time or need to be assessed by the OBGYN physician and the nursing staff, and so we have a room to do that. Otherwise, behind you are our two what we call LDRPs. They're labor, delivery, recovery, and postpartum. And so from the time the mom comes in till the time the mom and the baby leave, they stay in the same room. There's no moving them around. These are very large rooms. They're 350 square feet. And we do that to accommodate the families as well. Oftentimes dad or spouse or significant other, or whoever it is, grandma, grandpa will want to stay with them. And so we make them larger so that we can accommodate larger families into those rooms. So you're welcome to go into the room. You can see the bathrooms as well. We provide not only a walk-in shower, but oftentimes when mothers are in labor, they want to spend some time in a whirlpool tub because it feels good. And so we have been fortunate enough in both of our labor and delivery rooms to put a whirlpool tub as well for mom. This is what we call the head wall, so the bed will go on this side. The foot wall will be on this side. So you can see how large they are. What we do is we try to divide the room in half as well in any patient room so that really the side towards the door is meant for the nursing staff. So a lot of their stuff is over here, whether it be supplies or their nurse call system, a counter so that when they give medications or need to check a blood sugar. And on this side is where we put all the furniture for the family. So a couch that turns into a bed, a recliner, they'll have their own desk. If they want to bring their laptop and sit at the desk to play on their laptop while they're waiting for baby. So we really try to make a staff space and a family space within each room. I'll be back and I can show you what it is.
Yep. That's all the last remodel and
So you may wonder what this long wall is, and what's behind there is the ability to build out 7 additional rooms, whatever type of rooms we want to. And so we could build out more labor and delivery rooms if we needed, depending on our growth. We could extend med-surg and extend ICU on the other side, and so we wanted to build in some flexibility for growth, and that's what this is. Behind here is just completely open, but it's all plumbed and ready for any type of patient rooms that we need to have. Welcome to look behind there if you'd like to, but I think they use it as a break room right now.
What's it going to be used for initially? Just storage or?
Yes, storage and most likely empty space for right now. On the ceiling that we were able to incorporate indirect lighting. So if you've ever been a patient and you're rolling down the hallway on your cart or on your bed, the last thing you want to do is look up at bright fluorescent lights, right? So we were able to incorporate indirect lighting into the design so that it was more comforting for patients as they're traveling through our facility. inpatient medical surgical room. You can probably find you they're still working on it. You can probably find you a little cleaner one to take photos of.
Wow.
But you'll see what we call a head wall and a foot wall. The head wall is where all of the medical gases and outlets are for any of the patient equipment. And then on the foot wall, there'll be a large big screen television. That's what we call it. It has My Station. It's an interactive television, so not only does it offer video games and movies and those sort of things, but it also offers interactive patient education. And so if I'm newly diagnosed with diabetes, I can click on I have a wireless keyboard that I have on my lap, and I can look up diabetes, and it'll interactively teach me about my new condition and things I need to be aware of, things I need to do. A lot of times nurses use that for patient education. They'll pull it up for them and they'll say, okay, well, I'm running out to do such and such. I want you to read over this because we're going to go back over it and talk about it. You can see where I was talking about that. That's kind of the family space. We have a place where they have a locked drawer, place for them to eat, or if that's husband or wife with their spouse or whoever it is, they want to plug in their laptop. Right where you're standing behind you is where the computer will go. So the charting will all be done and hardwired into the rooms, and then sink and trash. And then in the cabinet is where what we call a nurse server goes. And so you can see the door opens from the outside, and I'll show you down the hall, but there's a cart that pulls out, and we're able to put the supplies in from outside of the room. So if you've ever been in the hospital, you've had people like scrambling around, stuffing, stocking your supplies while you're trying to sleep or rest. It can be a little bit annoying. And so we were able to copy what they've done at our hospital in Fond du Lac and have pull out nurse server, be able to stock it from the hallway and not have the patient even know we've been in there. But it's also accessible, so when the patient is awake and the nurse is in here, they can obtain supplies and things out of here from the room. Walk-in shower with no lips, so that if patients have a walker or a wheelchair and need to get in the shower, they can do that. There will also be a continuous handrail that goes from the side of the bed into the restroom, so you can see all the handrails even in front of the sinks. Those are intentional to help reduce falls. A lot of times confused patients will get up from their bed and they'll want to reach for something. And so we put a handrail right where they'll reach. And so we're hoping that if they do, we have many things in place to make sure that they don't get out of bed, but sometimes they do. And so we wanted to make sure that there were safety things in place that if they wanted to be independent, and we could not be in here with them because they got up on their own, that they would have something to hold on to. And many times patients couldn't get up on their own and they just need a little extra assistance. And so that was important to us from a safety perspective to make sure that that was incorporated into the design. So patients can be independent. So it'll go all the way from here. If I need to go to the restroom, I can grab here, and I can get all the way in. If I want to get over to the sink, I can grab over here. So there's always something to grab onto for patients that are unsteady. Questions? So on this corner of the unit and on the opposite corner, you'll see rooms that have doors in front of them. Those are what we call isolation rooms. There are times that patients come in that have communicable diseases that need to be isolated, and so we have a safe way of doing that with negative pressure rooms as well. It takes the air and sucks it out so that it doesn't affect other patients. We're able to put them into a space. Those rooms look exactly like these rooms. We do have one room on the other side of the unit here that we call a bariatric room. That one is for our larger patients, so it has a larger bed, larger space. The toilet can accommodate more weight, and so we wanted to be able to accommodate those patients as well. On the corners, there are nurses areas on each of the corners in the unit as well. the bariatric room that I was talking about. So you can see it's much larger than your average patient room. This is the bariatric room I was talking about. And so we make it a larger space because there's a larger bed that goes in here and other larger equipment that comes into these rooms. So we wanted to make sure to have a room to be able to accommodate those patients. One other thing I wanted to show you on the ceiling that you can see, there's a track. That track is for lifting patients. So today we have what are called Hoyer lifts that are on wheels, and we roll them into a room and we crank them up, and we use a lot of nursing physical power to do that. And you're at risk for injury, right? Employee injury. And so we incorporated a track system that requires absolutely zero physical effort from a nurse. There's a sling that attaches to the mechanism on the ceiling, and you slide it under the patient, and the track does the work for you. And so it can help you get a patient onto a wheelchair to take them to the restroom. It can help get them up into a chair, wherever you want them. So in every room, we have the patient lift system. Our goal is a no-lift facility.
How many of these rooms are there?
There's one.
Just the one.
But those tracks are in every room. Yeah.
Nurses like that.
So that is the tour of the second floor. Any questions before we go back downstairs? No? All right, we're going to head down the same stairs we came up. Okay, so a lot to take in, right? Any questions that I may have missed, or anything that you're interested in that I can elaborate on a little more?
Kathleen, I know you talked about this beforehand, but can you tell people exactly your plan for opening the schedule?
Yes.
With the specific dates?
Yes. We're moving in Friday the 12th, Saturday the 13th, and Sunday the 14th of December. On Friday, we will look to move a lot of our outpatient services that we schedule. So for example, our clinics, we will close at noon to be able to move a lot of our clinic services and rehabilitative services, patient services, over to the new facility. On Saturday, we'll be moving our 24-hour services, and they will be going back to back together. So we will be moving our OR, our inpatient, our emergency room, our pharmacy, right one after another, because each of them relies on the other to operate. And so there'll be a very short time frame on Saturday that those departments will move together. And we are using Schrader Moving Services to help us move the actual equipment and furniture and other things that will come along with us to the new facility. And so they will be helping us Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. Sunday will be used more of a getting settled day, especially for a lot of the outpatient services. So staff will be here unpacking a lot of their things and putting it where they'd like to see it for the outpatient services. On the inpatient, we'll be doing that while we're taking care of patients. We are also creating a 10-day patient move plan as well. And so we're looking at the 5 days before we move. What do our surgery schedules look like? What do our OB schedules look like? Some of those elective things, obviously OB is not elective, but some of the elective things, what do those look like, and how do we schedule those so that maybe we don't have large volumes of inpatients, for example, during the time that we need to move? So can we reduce some of those elective things that we're scheduling 5 days before, and then move in, and then ramp back up the 5 days after, slowly, as we get used to our new space and get moved in. And so we have a very strong committee of leaders working on a very specific plan for surgical patients, for OB patients, for ED patients, and for inpatients, to really make sure that we are coordinating those efforts in the most effective way for our move and for patients. So,
how many more beds will you have here as compared to the old facility?
Our old facility has 25 beds total. Here we will be opening up with 18. As I mentioned, we are shelling 7 beds. What we did was we looked at what is our average daily census and what are our surge numbers. So in hospitals, you can look at an average daily census, but if you hit the winter months, there are some times when you are, much higher than what your average daily census would reflect. And so we took both of those things into consideration when we decided how many rooms to actually build out initially. And that's where we came up with the 18 rooms to build out. We said to be most effective and most the best stewards of our dollars when we're building, we can do what we need to do with 18 rooms right now. We also know that we are growing rapidly and that we needed to plan for growth. And so that's why when I showed you upstairs, we planned for 7 extra rooms because we know we're going to need those. We don't know what service is going to need those yet. We don't know, will it be 2 or 3 more OB rooms? Maybe. Or will they all be med-surg rooms? And so we have the ability to use those and build those out in whatever capacity we did, or we need to. And so where we what we call shelved those rooms is important because we picked a space where any of those services could use them to expand.
How often have you hit 18 or exceeded 18 rooms? Recently, no, I don't know. Last year, 2 years, 3 years.
In the winter months, it's been a handful of times. We typically run anywhere from 7 to 10 medical surgical patients. Our ICU typically runs 1 to 2 patients, and our OB has been running 2 patients. We've been very busy with our OB service, and that's growing exponentially. So we feel very comfortable, even on our surge, with our surge capacity, that the 18 beds will meet our needs, even in our very busy months like the cold and flu season, when we tend to see a much higher volume of inpatients.
Thank you very much.
Questions?
Very impressive.
Wonderful. Well, thank you all for taking the time to come here today. As you know, this is not Agnesian's hospital. This is your hospital. And so we want to make sure that we get the word out and people can see what we're trying to create for them. So we're excited about the progress. It changes daily. I mentioned, I think to Skip when I first came in, that just 2 days ago that wall wasn't painted over there. And so each time I come in, something more progresses, and it's exciting to see. So we will be having some grand openings in December. Those dates will be coming out in the paper. We hope that you all attend as well as people from the community. It's very important to provide that experience and have people be able to walk through and ask questions and feel the space before it's operational. And so I encourage you all to attend that as well. So, thank you.
And it won't snow on those days, right?
Right. No, forecast is already done. No snow, 50 degrees. Right?
Grand opening is December 7th.
The grand opening is December 7th. There'll be the public will be welcome from 10 a.m. until 5 p.m. And so we encourage everyone to come out. There'll be some busing as well for that. We realize that there may be large volumes of people, and so we're working with some of our local partners like Ripon Printers and others to be able to accommodate some parking, and we'll be able to bus people over as well. So they don't have to park far or walk through snow, hopefully no snow, but we'll be working with some of the community partners to be able to provide that space as well.